Oregon. My name's Joanne Carruthers, and I am your service assistant this morning. On behalf of the board and leadership team, we bless and welcome each of you here as a part of our community. In unity, we believe that each of us dwells in and as spirit, and each of us is here today by divine appointment. If you're new to Unity or Unity of West Linn, we invite you to visit our website, www.worldhealing.org, which is filled with information on what our center offers. Today, we're so pleased to have as our special speaker, Reverend Christine Green, who will open this celebration with a prayer. And if you will first help me with the mission statement. The Unity Center is a ministry where people of all ages, backgrounds, and beliefs celebrate the one common spiritual thread that lives in every heart. And now we welcome Reverend Christine Green to open with a prayer.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for being here today and for welcoming me to your center. I'm very glad to be here. So let's take a breath and move into our prayer. Oh, breathing into this sacred moment of now. I am consciously aware that there is but one divine presence, one eternal source, one consciousness of good. This presence, this power, this life is good. This life is God. This life is the eternal life of love that is right here and right now. And as I know that I am one with this life, I know that truth for each of us here on the call, for all of humanity. And I know that we come together this day with our hearts and minds open and ready to receive the divine inspiration from the music and the message, from all that we share together, that there is an inspiration of love, that our hearts are open, that we have been called and we are open and ready to receive all that Spirit has in store for us. So I know every aspect of this service is blessed, every aspect of our time today is lifted up, and that we rejoice in this community, give thanks for this beautiful community of beings, of love, of light, of grace. And so for this and for so much more, I give grateful thanks, and I release this word with deep gratitude and love. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
And this is a reading I found by George Bernard Shaw. This is the true joy in life, the being used for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one, the being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch, which I have got hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. And I believe we have some music. Okay. Well, welcome, Reverend Christine Green. Oh, hey, life is an adventure, right? Reverend Christine Green has been teaching and counseling others for over 30 years, both nationally and abroad. She's currently the assistant minister at New Thought CSL. She has a master's in religious studies and is the author of several books and articles on caregiving and on women's issues. She's a frequent speaker here, and we're very happy when she joins us. Christine, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Joanne. Thanks again, everyone, for having me here today. It's just a joy to be with you. I am so grateful. And yes, life is full of technical difficulties, isn't it? There's all kinds of challenges in the world right now. And so we never know when we're going to have technical difficulties. My talk title today is Calling All Hearts. And I got this inspiration from a plaque in my office that says, "Calling all hearts, your family and the world needs you to be brave with your lives." And I just love that. And it I was thinking I was needing to come up with a title to give, and I thought that is so perfect. The world, your family and the world needs you to be brave with your lives. And I just want to take a moment and to honor someone who was beyond brave with his life, and that's Representative John Lewis, who was a towering figure in the civil rights movement. He was arrested over 40 times while demonstrating against racial and social injustice. He was brave beyond measure and leaves an amazing legacy of love and justice. And one of the things that he said is, "We are one people with one family. We all live in the same house. And through books, through information, we must find a way to say to people that we must lay down the burden of hate, for hate is too heavy a burden to bear." And so we bless him as we bless his soul and give thanks for the amazing work he has done, not only for our country, for all of humanity. And know that as everyone gathers over these next few days to honor him and bless him, we know that we are all lifted up in love. So calling all hearts, how to be brave with our lives. So I wanted to look at the idea of our hearts, first of all, to look beyond the physical heart as an organ and the emotional heart as love, and look at the spiritual heart. And I love this quote from Glenda Green from her book, Love Without End. She says, "In the depth of your being is your own sacred center. It is the still, quiet chamber deep within where you are one with spirit. Through this connection is your own indigenous power. And you cannot underestimate the value of this knowledge to your life. Priceless to your life is the knowledge of the heart itself. It is a place that you must go alone, for it is your sacred ground." So she says this area is the area of the sacred heart. It's not just the heart itself, but it's this area between the spine and the physical heart that is a sacred space. And that this is the true access of our spiritual connection. And she says, as you enter your space of your heart, you must release your attention into the silence, letting it fall where it comes to rest. And that this is the quiet contemplation where you behold oneness. And that's what we do in meditation. That's what we do with contemplation as we move into this sacred space. And I know I've shared with you before the power of tapping, of connecting with that space, because we know the power of connecting the heart to the mind. And every time you tap, every time you bring this sacred space, that you bring that awareness and you bring that connection with the allness that is God. And so we are in such a change, a time of change, of uncertainty. And the world needs our hearts. It needs our loving hearts in order to flourish. We are needed to be brave and step past our fears and limitations. And right now, living in the world we live, there's a lot of uncertainty, right? We see it every day in so many ways. And when we're afraid, we forget the oneness. We forget that we're one with the presence. And this place of love is ultimately where we want to be. And in his book, Love is Letting Go of Fear, Dr. Jerry Jampolsky identifies the 12 key lessons. There's many lessons from the Course in Miracles, but he picked out 12 lessons. And he explains that there are two emotions, love and fear. And love is our natural inheritance. It's the essence of who we are. But fear, on the other hand, is manufactured by the mind. And love is real, but fear is an illusion. And I found that quote and I typed it. When I was rereading it, I thought, fear doesn't feel like an illusion right now, does it? That we know that that's our spiritual truth, but fear, there's a lot of things to be afraid of. We're in a worldwide pandemic. We're in the midst of deep ancestral healing. We're in a revolution for social equality and justice. And there's this profound sense of uncertainty for tomorrow. So fear is a natural phenomenon to come up. It's a natural emotion to happen. It doesn't feel like an illusion. But there's a way that we can be with fear to not let us control us. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And so here, one of the things Dr. Jerry says is when our mind is filled with upsetting thoughts, we see the world and those in it as upsetting to us. But on the other hand, when our mind is peaceful, the world and the people in it appear to be peaceful. And so when we have fear, we can use it as a learning experience. Tara Brach, author Tara Brach, has a great metaphor. She said, if you take 2 cups of salt and put it in a sink and fill the sink with water, you're going to have a very salty sink, right? But if you take those 2 cups and you throw it into the lake, you won't notice it at all. And so when we focus on the small self, on just where we are, it can be very salty. It can be very fearful. But when we remember that we're one with the whole, that we're one with the infinite, then we remember, we have an awareness that my fear is part of this and I can see a bigger picture. We have the opportunity to see a bigger picture. The fear doesn't go away, but we find ourselves connected with a larger presence that is God. And there's different ways, if we stay in the fear, we can stay in the moment and we stay small and constricted and stuck. Or we can call on our faith and say, this too shall pass. And I don't know how long you've been in Oregon. I've been here long enough that I'm almost a native, but the weather changes every minute, right? The weather comes and goes. We can be really upset one minute and the next minute it's gone. And that's how we can look at this fear. It's not being grounded in it, but know that things come and they go. So fear begins with anxiety. And I wanted to share some practical tips to look for when the anxiousness comes up. What can we do to calm the anxiousness that comes up? Because when we don't, we can start to catastrophize about things, right? Then we make it about, oh my gosh, all these things are wrong. The world's coming to an end. What are we going to do? But there's some things that we can do. And I'm bringing this up because I found with my clients, these very simple hints, we forget. We forget them when we're fearful. We forget them when we're stressed. We forget them in times of uncertainty. So these are just, you already know these, they're just reminders. These are some things that we can do. So the first one is we want to stay informed, but let's not be obsessive about watching the news, right? We can watch the news and kind of feel like, gosh, this is too much to take. But if we're able to just get enough news that we have the information we need and not be obsessed with it, it will calm us down, because the news is based on chaos. The news reports all the bad things going on. And so, and a little bit of good things. Every once in a while, they throw in a good thing for good measure. But it's mostly about what's going on that you need to know. So just temper it with how much you watch, and watch trustworthy sources. Stay away from, anytime you start feeling overwhelmed, step away. Go read a book, go outside, call a friend, do something, but don't get too caught up in it. It's important to be careful what you share. When we receive information, we want to tell it to someone else, and sometimes we don't receive the correct information. Do you remember that game we used to play as kids, telephone, where somebody said something and then they passed it on and passed it on and passed it on, and by the last person that got it, it was a totally different message? So not only can that happen, but there's a tendency that we may not have the best information and we share it with someone and it was incorrect to begin with. So be careful with what you share. Another one is to focus on things you can control. There are so many things going on in the world and we can't control them. But what we can do is we can turn to prayer, or we can send good thoughts, send loving thoughts. And that's where we make that heart connection and send heart telepathy. We send it to a person, or we send it to a group. Or we've been working on sending it to the city of Portland right now. That Portland really needs just a big blanket of love around it right now. So focus on what we can do. It's really easy to put all of our attention on what someone else is doing. Have you noticed that? Especially family members. If they only listened to me, their lives would be better. Any of you have family members like that? If they only listened to me, their lives would be better, but they don't. And so I can't make them listen. So I just need to let it go. I just need to focus on myself and my own prayer. And again, send them light, send them love. The other way to focus on things we can control, and you all know this, it's to do, what am I going to do when I go out in the world? It's about washing our hands, wearing our mask, keeping social distance, knowing all of that stuff, but doing it, because then we're taking care of ourselves and we're focusing on what will work for me and not focusing on what's going on for someone else or the stresses of the world. I often ask people, what do you want? And they often don't have an answer. And it's really important for us to know what it is that we want, because then we can focus on truly on what we are working on, the things that we want in the world, and not be worried about what's going on with someone else. Remember to come back to the breath. Everybody take a deep breath right now. When you feel stressed, when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel caught up in everything, it's really a powerful tool to just come back to the breath. Even though we can't be together in person, we can be connected socially by the phone, by Zoom, by FaceTime. And it's important to make that connection with people so that we feel in partnership, we feel connected, and we don't feel so alone. And I loved, someone was talking about earlier about connecting with different members of your community. That's so important right now, because some people need a phone call. They need someone to reach out. And especially remember to take care of your body and your spirit. The more you take care of your health, the better off you are. And what this virus has taught us is how important our health is, and how to take care of our health, how important it is to take care of our health and well-being, to be kind to yourself, go easy on yourself, keep a routine the best you can. I heard that last week you talked about having fun. It's so important to find joy in your life and have fun. I shared earlier, I got to play with a puppy yesterday. It was so wonderful. It just lifted my spirits and opened my heart even more. So anything that brings you joy, have a joy list of what brings you joy, of what you connect with. If you can get out in nature and walk around, I find it so powerful to be able to be in nature. The other thing you can do when you look out the window, look at the horizon, because we're so focused at what's right in front of us. The phone, the computer, the TV, we're focused on this. But when you can look outside and look to the sky and look to the horizon, it's not only good for your eyesight. They found it's very good for your eyesight if you do that every once in a while during the day, but it changes your experience. It changes your mood. It lifts you up. Helping others is another way. Anytime you can reach out and help someone else, even if it's to listen, it makes a big difference. I know that there's groups getting together that are writing letters to seniors in different places, writing cards to different groups of people. There's all kinds of clubs and groups that are doing that. That's a really powerful thing that we can do. And so I bring these up because when we can do these things, we lessen the anxiousness. And we don't want to suppress fear, but we want to bring it forward so that we can see it and observe it. And so let's say for the virus, we know this is fearful and I'm looking at it, but what I know is I can do things to take care of myself. I can send prayer to humanity, to those in my community. I can do what I can do to control my circumstances. Because when we get to look at the fear, it diminishes. If we hide from the fear, we stay stuck. So author Rachel Remen tells a story that when she was a little girl, her family loved doing puzzles together. Anybody here love puzzles? I just love a good puzzle. And there was a special table in her house that was always set up and had a puzzle on it. And different members of the family and visiting friends would come and they would help. They would work on it together. But here's the thing. Her dad always hid the box cover So no one knew what they were doing the puzzle of. They didn't know what the result looked like. So Rachel remembers she was about 3 or 4 years old when she became aware of the puzzle. And the family didn't really explain to her what it was or what they were doing because they thought she was too young to understand. But one day, she found herself in the living room alone. And so she climbed onto the chair and spread out the hundreds of puzzle pieces lying on the table. And they were fairly small, and some were brightly colored, but others were dark and shadowy. The dark ones seemed like spiders or bugs, and they were ugly and frightening, and they made her feel uncomfortable. So she gathered up a few of the dark ones, and she climbed down and she hid them under the sofa cushions. She was protecting herself and the family from these dark, shadowy things. So for several weeks, whenever she found herself alone in the room, she climbed up on the chair and found a few more dark pieces and took them and put them under the cushion of the chair. Now, for the family, this puzzle was taking a really long time to finish. They were getting really frustrated. And one day, her mother counted the pieces and realized that more than 100 pieces were missing. She asked Rachel if she knew anything about this. And Rachel confessed, yes, she did. And she went to her stash and lifted up the cushion and brought out all the pieces. And so the family put together the puzzle. And here's what she said. As piece after dark piece was put in place, a picture emerged, and I was astonished. It was quite beautiful, a peaceful scene of a deserted beach. Without the pieces I had hidden, the game made no sense. She goes on to say, life provides all the pieces. When I accept certain parts of life and ignore the rest, I can only see one piece at a time. Maybe the happiness of a celebration or the pain of loss or failure. But once the pieces come together, the larger pieces, the sadder events, prove to have been part of something larger. And that's kind of like life, isn't it? That we can hide the fear and suppress it and be afraid of it. We can be afraid of the things that are happening in our lives. Or we can embrace it and bring it into the light, bring it into trust, and know that there is a bigger picture. We know in our faith, we trust that there's a bigger experience happening, and all the pieces are needed for something greater to be revealed. So, for instance, all these pieces of social injustice need to be uncovered so we can see them, so we can bring to a resolution the inequity and the harm and bring. So the fears that we may have about our lives or about what's going on, we bring them to our awareness, we look at them, we do what we can, and we take care of them, but we know that they're part of a bigger picture that's being revealed. There's a wonderful Buddhist teaching of a metaphor for life, of a bird. And one wing is being in touch with mindful awareness. And the other wing is allowing and accepting, being in a place of compassion. And that in order to soar, we have to have both sides. We have to have the wave of experience and letting it be. So we're being in touch with the experience and mindful, and we allow it and accept it and let it be. And when we have that, life has the power to soar. We have the power to move forward. We have the power to learn something new in our lives. When we allow life to unfold into love, the heart recognizes this with tenderness. So our heart space, when we're in fear here or in the gut, if we can bring our attention to the heart, we bring our attention to that place of peace. We bring our attention to love and that love space. One of my friends talked about that she was engaging in heart telepathy, and that what she was doing is opening her heart as much as she could and sending it to others, and just sending that love, beaming that light to those in her lives. When we let fear be, or the confusion, when we let it be, it doesn't mean that we have to like it, but we know that there's a wisdom there that's working on it. That wisdom that's bringing more truth and more peace to it. One of the tools Tara Brach shares is she says, ask the fear, what is mine to do? How do you want me to be with you? And what do you need from me? And sometimes what we find when we let that go, that there is a solution. And I love the serenity prayer. What a great reminder. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. If there's anything that this pandemic has taught us, is that life is short. To enjoy every moment, to find the joy, to appreciate your loved ones, to trust the process, to live in joy. Have a list of what brings you joy and engage in it. Speak with gratitude every moment. Open your hearts. There's calling all hearts that your life is needed. Your family and the world needs you to be brave. And we are all brave when we step out in faith. And let's take this into prayer. So just breathing into this time of love, of joy, of wisdom. I'm so grateful for the infinite and the divine that is God, that is revealed right here and right now. That all our hearts are open, are receptive, are willing. We are willing participants in this game called life, in this game called love. And we know that every day we trust in the process of love, trust in the process of God, and know that we are guided and directed, healed and blessed. All that we need is really revealed with ease and with grace. And so surrendering into this presence of love, surrendering into this light, I'm grateful for everyone in this community, for this beautiful community of love, of sharing, of devotion, and know that every person is lifted in love. And as we go out into the world, we go out in this blanket of love, in this blanket of safety, in this blanket of peace. And we open our hearts and send the world all the love we receive here today, all the love that we feel here today, knowing in the midst of pain, in the midst of suffering, in the midst of turmoil, that there is a presence and a power that is love, that is peace, making a difference. And so I give grateful thanks for this knowing, for this good, for this love, for all of this, and for so much more. I give grateful thanks and release this word with deep gratitude. And so it is. Amen. Thank you so much for being here today and for this opportunity to share with you. Blessings to you.
Thank you, Reverend Christine. That was wonderful. Great tips for living.
Joyce, can you do it? I'll try it again.
There is something moving through me. I don't know how to hold it. And voices in the stillness tell me to enfold it. Could it be a love song that I must sing to you, the one who brought me life? Could it be the fire that burns inside of me? It's the
This is the time we honor our gifts. These gifts help us continue our community of love and service. And our intention and vision of the Unity Center in our 30th year is spirit-led. We are co-creating a vibrant, inclusive ministry, welcoming and supporting everyone on their spiritual journey.
And we'll just go ahead.
Okay. So as we give these gifts, as we honor these gifts, we know God's love in me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And we have just a few announcements. Our annual meeting is going to be on August the 9th after the service. Please plan to attend and let everyone else know. During it, all members who desire will be reinstated as required by our bylaws. It's easy to renew or become a member. Members believe and follow the 5 unity principles. You can review them in your current e-news or on our website, worldhealing.org. Send an email to westlandunitycenter@gmail.com or leave a phone message before August 9th. You and your participation are very important to our Unity community. If you won't be able to attend the annual meeting, please let us know by phone message or email. And I think the board is planning on sending out a special email regarding this. Also, help. We're seeking to attract a skillful website savvy volunteer who would enjoy helping the center with updating our website. Or perhaps you know of a reasonably priced person, a community-minded web professional to recommend. Please contact the center office or board president, Bev Haynes, with offers of help, ideas, and recommendations. Our website's important for us and for those seeking to learn more about the Unity Center. Also remember the men's group is on the second Monday, August the 10th in the evening. Women's group, second Tuesday, August 11th in the evening. And you'll get more information about those. Sandra is continuing her talks, her sharing as we share on living unity in turbulent times. We're exploring those unity principles in depth. It's still open and you're welcome to jump in for the last half of the series. It's on a love offering basis. The Zoom login is on the slide below and the current e-news, maybe the slide below.
E-news.
So, as we close the celebration, focus on the representation of the light of unity. Thank you, Reverend Christine, again for your heartfelt message. We encourage everyone to take time to reflect and apply her key ideas into your lives. Let's reach out and every week to bless all beings, including yourself, with loving kindness. And also Reverend Christine is going to be with us for a while after the service so we can chat with her and share with each other. As we know, unity principles change lives, and we encourage you to share our Sunday celebrations live and invite friends and family to find us on YouTube under the title Westland Unity Center. For further spiritual support, visit our website, worldhealing.org, or Facebook, or unity.org. And especially now for 24-hour prayer, call or visit silentunity.org. We again invite everybody to join and stay with Reverend Christine and each other and chat a bit. You have to bring your own treats, however. We look forward to seeing you again next week. As we complete our formal time together, we symbolically blow out our candles. Ready? And we know the light never goes out because we are the light. And the power of protection. Join me. The light of God is in us. The love of God moves through us. The power of God transforms us. The presence of God is who we are. Wherever we go, God is, and all is well. Thank you for making the Unity Center what it is and for joining together today. Have a beautiful, loving, and safe week. And we end our recording now.